Okay, it is now time to put on your innovation sweatpants. I think as Ali had us talk about, and we're going to talk about actually the challenge itself. It is $750,000 worth of prizes that we'll be giving it away. And it really has three components to it. It's solving problems that you guys spent the day hearing about today. So first, how do we actually prevent some of the problems happening in the first place? How do we work to actually transform the techniques that are used to mine gold or cobalt or other materials that have less impact on human environments, on human societies, on natural environments that we are working on? So that is the part that has to do with prevention, remediation in the challenge. But the other part is, how do we actually take habitats that might be now 1/3 water that is imbued with mercury, or other environments where the forests have been eliminated, where the microbiome has been literally sterilized, and how do we actually bring them back? How do we bring them back to health? And how do we actually use the techniques that we're using to do so? One of the ideas is even mercury, if you think about it, is only 30% effective at amalgamating gold, right? So if we can use something outside of mercury that is much more effective and actually use the proceeds from that to help restore those habitats, these are innovations we can do. Second are the supply chains, the things that drive that informal economy and make it formal, that go into these devices. How do we actually change the demand? How do we actually improve the traceability of the elements that we're using, whether gemstones, whether the minerals and the metals, whether the gold? And what innovations would help us do that? And then the third is really understanding the data that is involved, because we don't have enough data in terms of the human and environmental impacts or the early warning systems that we actually need. This room is actually filled with people who have solutions that worked. People who have engineered plants to actually remove heavy metals from soils. People who've worked on synthetic biology and gene editing. People who have worked on creating new financial mechanisms to help solve some of the biggest problems on our planet. So I know that there are many ideas out there that we can apply from adjacent spaces to help us solve it, because the power of prizes and challenges is that they can make the impossible possible. They could focus a community, as Paul talked about. The last piece is that this challenge is actually global in scope. So we're looking for innovations that are not just restricted to gold, but that can be any of the minerals in those 130 countries that are mined artisanally within what we're trying to do.
So I'm sure now you're all curious how to win. Right? How are you going to be a part of this $750,000? We're judging this, the criteria associated with the challenge are a reflection of the innovation and the change we want to see in the world. Number one, of course, is the impact. How can this innovation affect biodiversity conservation, water quality, quantity, and hydrology, human security, and be assured that we don't create additional inadvertent impacts? The unintended consequences are minimalized. Number two, innovative design. This has to be something transformative, novel, creative, and of course technically feasible. No perpetual motion machines. Something that's actually going to be able to get out into the world. For number three, to be adopted and scaled. I really appreciate the last panel's focus on this conversation of how it is that users can adopt the innovation, and how it is that the innovation can be designed for widespread adoption and use. How can it get into the hands of the people that are on the ground at these artisanal and small-scale mining sites? And then finally, the fourth criteria, making sure that it has business and financial viability, that revenue is possible so that it can be maintained and it can be funded for the long term, that users exist, that there are individuals and customers out there for these innovations, and that the risks are understood and mitigation plans exist so that if there are problems down the line, we can ensure that they will be adopted at scale. The timeline associated with this, well, we're right there at number one. Today, we begin. This is open now. Woo, that's right, you're a part of this. October 2nd, applications are open.
You were here.
We've got now several months to innovate. The race starts now, and people have until the beginning of March when the application period will close, followed by something really we're excited about, which is peer feedback and revision. We're actually going to open up the opportunity for innovators from all sectors and all of the adjacent spaces to help advise and influence each other, because what we want to see is a rising tide of these innovations, things to get better and better and better. We'll then invite revisions to those applications by July and August, when the finalists will be able to pitch their solutions for finally the decision by an independent panel of judges who are going to announce the winners of the Artisanal Mining Grand Challenge in September of next year.